It's time to cloud enable our app. We want our apps to be able to connect to a server. This is a client-side tutorial series, so we won't get into what the server itself would look like. Instead, we'll simulate it with a hard-coded JSON file located in the data folder in our project. So if we look at our project, there's a folder called data, and we've simulated a response from the server. So we'll load this as if it was a server response. For the server side, you can use whichever technologies you're familiar with. It can be built in Node.js, PHP, Ruby on Rails, Python, Java, anything that you normally use on your server side. So instead of hard coding all of the entries like so, we're going to delete this. This is going to be an empty array, and it will be populated with the response we get from the server. The first thing you need to do is include the HTTP service in your expenses service. By including the HTTP service, we can make AJAX calls using different verbs. So you can use AJAX calls using get or post, or if you're doing a RESTful API, you can also do put and delete. But we'll do get, just to get a JSON file from the server. Now we're going to specify the URL of our server side. In your case, it could be http example.com and some location where the JSON file is going to be rendered. In this particular case, it'll be the data folder and the getAll.json file. If this is successful, we want to run our success method. That success method is going to include data or some variable name with the response from the server. What do we want to do with that response? Let's start by showing it in the console. But what we will want to do is, of course, populate service.entries. Let's reload the page. See how we got from the server that list of objects. Cool. Let's put that into entries. Also, remember that we need to take care of the dates, which come in MySQL format as strings. So we'll just reuse the same code that we were using before. Basically iterate through each one of them and using our helper, transform them to date objects. Should be all clear by then. What if there's an error in our call? If for example, the URL doesn't exist, or we get an error code from the server, we can use this error function method and say there was an error. So, for example, if for instance this URL didn't exist, well, in this case we got an error on the oh yeah, this should be alert, not error, of course. That makes sense. Then we get an alert that says error. So using the get service to make calls, AJAX calls, is very simple, as you can see. It's as simple as it is with jQuery. This is one of the strongest parts of jQuery, was how easy it made it to use AJAX calls, and as you can see, Angular makes it just as easy.